So to those business owners that don't know about corporate Experian and Dun & Bradstreet, you want to fill them in on that just briefly?
Yeah, briefly, Dun & Brad, a lot of people have heard about Dun & Brad. You'd be surprised.
Dun & Bradstreet.
Dun & Bradstreet. A lot of people heard about Dun & Brad, but that's it. When typically, it used to be that when you got a tax ID number, Dun & Brad would automatically send you a Dun & Brad number. Now you actually have to apply for it online.
Right.
Well, it's a 30-day process, and of course their goal is to get you to buy one of their credit packages, which is not necessarily necessary initially. But we do encourage them to get the Dun & Brad number. When you're filling out business credit applications, you are looking just for that, a business credit application. You're not looking for a personal application.
That'll get you in trouble again, right?
Exactly, because when you look at a personal versus a business, the personal is going to require your social, the business is going to require your tax ID. So it's important the applications you're filling out when you're applying for business credit. Dun & Brad is simply a credit profile. They want to know if you went in a bank for a loan and you said, Emil, you sat down before me, I work for Wachovia or whatever bank, and you said, well, you know, I'd like to get a business loan of $50,000. And I said, well, all right, what's your tax ID number? Give me some company information. I'm going to pull your business credit profile with Dun & Brad because that's what they do. I'm going to look at corporate Experian and or corporate Equifax because that's what they do. So corporate credit results, again, what we do is build those profiles to make sure they're in place. Good, exactly, so that based on what you're going for, everything you need is available. When they ask you, you have what you need to get the loan that your business wants.
And on average, the regular guy with a business, he doesn't know about this.
Oh, no, and I'm surprised. I gotta be honest with you, I'm totally surprised. I've been in business for 20 years. I've known about it all of 11 years myself. But then I realized I've done well financially. I was able to invest, and I'm a little research person. I like to investigate and educate myself. I think people just not taking the time. The information's out there even now. It's just very expensive. And so with corporate credit results, you know, our mission is to put the information out, the workshops, seminars, webinars. We even provide free training and classes for nonprofit organizations so that they are aware. Once we create the awareness, what they do with the information is totally up to them.
Now you got some free training coming up here in New Orleans pretty soon, October. And it's going to appear on your website. It will. Right.
October 24th, we're going to actually have a live seminar here.
Okay.
On October 24th.
Okay. Getting back to the Dun & Bradstreet corporate Experian. Let's talk about that now. Now, do they, once you complete their documentation, do they require that you go through a process of obtaining credit through them?
And they're a little different from Dun & Brad. Dun & Brad is the granddaddy of them all. I tell people how important they are. They're very, very important, and they're very serious about how they verify your business with vendors, because vendors want to know with Dun & Brad how well are you established and your financials, etc. So they're very serious. They'll even drive by to make sure you're in a legitimate office space. I mean, they're very critical, and they, you know, that's why having a consultant is important, because we know what to look for. But with corporate Experian, it's different. Two vendors will give you a trade line of credit. Meaning when they pull your credit report, they see if you have any credit. If you just have one trade line, it won't report. Two will do it. Unlike Dun & Brad, you cannot put vendors on your corporate Experian. You actually have to have the vendors report themselves. So it's a little bit different. It's less expensive, and there is a cost to establishing a file, but it's not expensive at all, but it's less expensive than Dun & Brad.
And is it simply because people don't know that they don't do these things, or they don't want to take the steps? Or maybe a third thing, maybe they're not educated in what steps to take.
Seeing what I'm seeing, traveling the way that I have been and delivering this information, it's like I'm heaven sent to most people. I just think that it's been too expensive, and for the most part, people don't want to pay several $1,000s to attend the seminar to get the information. And you know, when I show up and giving free information initially just to show them what's available, they're actually willing to invest whatever to get the information. I think that it's just one of those well-kept secrets, and one of the things I realize is that the wealthy play by a different set of rules, and this is one of them. And so your average tax-paying, you know, hard-working family, you know, they're not in that group of the elite or the wealthy, so they're not going to know about these rules.
Let's give you a hypothesis here. Let's say that I'm a guy who used to have a business, and 10 years ago I operated a little business. I was pretty good at it, but I didn't manage my finances well enough. Now I'm working for somebody, but my corporation is still in effect with the Secretary of State. Can you help me?
Sure, sure. Actually, that's a very valuable thing. We call that a shelf corporation.
Okay.
Shelf corporation is basically a business that one started however many years ago, obtained a tax ID number, and even went as far as incorporating with the Secretary of State, and just decided that, hey, the business is not doing well, I'm going to shut it down, which in that case it was dissolved, or
went dormant.
Exactly, just went dormant. And yes, you can, with the Secretary of State, you can actually go to that state and online and reapply to reignite that particular corporation. Those are very valuable. Shelf corporations are very valuable because they represent seasoning. And anytime we do business, no matter if it's personal or business, seasoning is very important.
And seasoning, for those who are not familiar with the term, is
history.
History.
Seasoning represents history. So when you go for a loan for anything and they see you've been in business 2 days versus 2 years or 4 years, the man who's been in business the longest is going to be able to obtain more. That's just the rule of the game.
So what are, if you could, list of things that a person should be doing in order to obtain that corporate credit?
Get a tax ID first.
First thing.
Definitely get a tax ID. Once you get your tax ID, you want to incorporate that business. You want to incorporate your business with the Secretary of State of the state that the business is in. You want to get a business license. And again, our workbook breaks down all the steps. So if they want a workbook, they can go online and obtain one. But just right off the top, Secretary of State and tax ID, that right there will get you started. That's very important. You'll begin to get credit offers just because you obtained a tax ID and you've incorporated your business. So that's very, very important. And again, we do free webinars, Emil, like I was telling you, because we want to make sure they understand how to incorporate, why you want to choose a S Corp versus a C Corp or a LLC, or why not be a sole proprietor. We break all that information down because they definitely need to understand that.
That's very important, especially when it comes down to individuals too. I notice a lot of times people fill out their 1090, which one is that, the reporting form, the W-9, and they have those little boxes on there, and a lot of times folks don't realize what they're checking off as an individual.
Right.
But as a corporation, those apply to you, but a lot of times people checking off as an individual those corporation boxes, and they don't realize that they're acting as such.
Right. Right, and that's unfortunate, but again, that's, you have to read. Right, you have to read. And the information is usually available. I mean, anyone can go online right now and get the information that I'm speaking of, but again, when it's time to put the pedal to the metal and get some credit lines, you're going to pay for it. It's not going to be free at all. There's going to be some work involved.
Right. So you guys got the free seminars, you got the webinars, free webinars, you do consult with folks, and you mentioned the booklet. Let's talk about that.
Well, it's a financial workbook. I'm so proud of my piece of work. I think I didn't realize what a gold mine it was, to be honest with you, because I've known this information and have lived well over the years because of this information. And now that the economy's made the changes and the transitions that it's made, I realized the need for it in other households. Families are struggling right now in many ways, and a lot of us want to get out there and venture and do a business. And I'm just, like that flashing light saying, hey, if you're going to do a new business, if you're going to get out there and launch a new business, do it the right way the first time. And, that's just good advice, personal advice for any family. The workbook, I had it copywritten and published from a publishing company out of Noonan, Georgia. And it hasn't been that long. Actually, they're hot off the presses in terms of the quantities. I realized how fast they sold, and so I started doing print on demand and selling them. They'll be available in some of the major stores as far as sales is concerned. And again, the workbook is just step-by-step information. It would take the average, a student, a young 18, 19-year-old student could understand how to incorporate and through the steps of their business obtain business credit lines. Very simple. And
to a small business, let's say a small business that just needs to get themselves jump-started, a small line of credit of $10,000 to $25,000 will go a long way for those folk, right? Oh, sure, sure, and not hard to obtain at all. Again, it's a matter of when you walk into the banking facility and you're asking for this loan, how you present yourself and how well your portfolio, your business profile is established. Exactly. And if something's missing, the thing is this: they're not going to tell you. They're just going to say no. Right. And so it's important
You know, and again, you don't need a consultant to walk you through these steps. Really, it's very simple. It's like second grade reading, in my opinion. But some people will have questions, and when they buy our workbooks or they invest in our work, we say invest in our workbooks. We're available via email all the time for questions. We embrace them. We want them to go all the way with the information and tell other people about it, so that it can save potentially other households from the failure that a lot of us, I mean, no, I'm not going to do statistics here today, but a lot of businesses are failing, a lot of them, and they don't have to. They really don't have to.